Look, that Denver game stung. Nobody's pretending otherwise. You watched it, you felt it, and the scoreboard made it plain. The Broncos put 44 up, and we managed 24. That's a tough look, and it leaves a bitter taste, especially when you've invested in this team emotionally. But before you start ripping the roster apart in the comments, let's take a breath and set realistic expectations for the moment. This roster entered the season in transition. There have been coaching changes, roster turnover, and yes, the team no longer has its all-pro pass rusher playing in a Cowboys uniform. Those kinds of shifts don't fix themselves overnight. The loss in Denver is a loud, headline-making result, but it's also just one data point in a season where the front office clearly has longer-term questions to answer. When you zoom out, you have to admit the honest point. This is a young defense with pieces that are still learning how the NFL grinds you into shape. Some of the veteran signings just haven't produced the way the contracts suggested they would, and injuries have robbed the unit of continuity. That's frustrating, I get it, because you watch Dak play well and you want the defense to show up and protect that effort. But instead of drifting into panic, the smarter move is to look at what's repairable between now and the trade deadline. Are bad habits schematic or talent-based? Are penalties and missed assignments coachable in short order? Or do they point to mismatches that only ATT, roster change, can address? Those are the questions the team needs to answer, and they matter more than the doom and gloom takes that flood social media after a blowout. Quick check with you. Type yes if you still believe we can finish above $500 this season, or no if you don't. I want to see where the real fans stand, not the hot takes. While you type that, do me a favor. If you appreciate straightforward takes like this, hit subscribe and help us hit $16,000. This channel's about honest perspective, not hysteria, and your subscribe click tells me to keep doing the kind of breakdowns that actually help you understand what's broken and what's fixable. Look, if there's one part of the Cowboys season that has fans grinding their teeth, it's the defense. And I get it. Losing Micah Parsons hurt. But it wasn't just him. The pass rush, linebacker depth, and secondary all have gaps that have been exposed multiple times this season. Some of it comes down to youth. This is one of the youngest defenses in the league, and some of the players are still learning how fast the NFL game moves. When you combine that inexperience with injuries and a few veteran signings who haven't lived up to their contracts, it creates the kind of inconsistency that makes games like Denver a nightmare. Here's the thing. Not all hope is lost. Some problems are schematic, meaning the coaches can fix them with adjustments to alignments, assignments, and situational play calling. But other issues, like a missing edge rusher or an inexperienced linebacker making coverage mistakes, aren't something you can coach away overnight. Those require time, patience, and maybe some roster tweaks before the trade deadline. And let's not ignore the injuries. Key players have been sidelined, robbing the defense of continuity. In football, consistency is everything. Even the best schemes fail if the right players aren't on the field. Now, I want you to think about the signings that haven't panned out. Yes, there's frustration. And yes, it stings when the contracts don't match the performance. But those are also teaching moments for the players, for the coaches, and even for the front office. What adjustments can be made next season? Who steps up from the younger players we're grooming right now? These are the conversations that matter more than just complaining about blown coverages or missed tackles. Let's do a quick check-in. I want to hear from you. If you could add one defensive piece before the trade deadline, who would it be? Drop a name in the comments. I'm curious to see if we're all thinking the same way about what's fixable now versus what has to wait until next year. And while you're typing that, if you care about defensive breakdowns and real fan perspective, hit like. It helps me know you want more deep dives like this. Here's something that might make you feel a little better. It could be worse. Yeah, I know it hurts to watch the Cowboys stumble, especially when Dak Prescott is playing at a high level. But look at what's happening with the Commanders. Remember them? Last season, they were in the NFC Championship game. They had Jalen Daniels, arguably the hottest young quarterback in the league. They were supposed to be on the rise. Preseason rankings had them as high as number 6 in the NFL. Expectations through the roof. They signed big-name free agents, including Bobby Wagner and DK Metcalf, brought in a great left tackle in Laramie Thompson, and were generally being hyped as a team that could dominate their division. Fast forward, and things haven't gone according to plan. They're struggling, losing games they were expected to win, and somehow even a team with that talent and hype can collapse mid-season. Now, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys' season isn't perfect. We've had defensive struggles, a young roster, and some bad breaks with injuries. But when you compare it to the Commanders, whose hype collapsed in front of everyone, it puts things in perspective. While we're frustrated, at least we're not in their shoes, watching a team with all the stars in place unravel before our eyes. This is a great reminder for any fan. Expectations matter. Cowboy fans may be frustrated, but we're being realistic about a team that's in transition. Meanwhile, Commanders fans are living in disappointment despite having more resources, more proven players, and a higher preseason ranking. So while the Cowboys' 3-5 record stings, it's not catastrophic. It's part of a rebuild, part of learning, and part of growing this young roster into a contender. Perspective can be a powerful thing, especially in football, where luck, injuries, and timing play a huge role. Here's something to think about. Type in the comments which late-season collapse surprised you more. Cowboys or Commanders? I'm genuinely curious to see what you all think, and your answers help shape the discussion on this channel. And while you're typing, a quick reminder: if you appreciate a channel that gives you perspective rather than panic, make sure you hit subscribe. We're pushing toward 16,000 subscribers, and every click helps keep this kind of honest, grounded conversation going. All right, let's talk about where the Cowboys go from here. The season may not be perfect, but there's still a path forward, and it starts with understanding what's realistic. First, the trade deadline is coming up, and that's always a chance for a team to address gaps. Do we buy or do we sell? That's a debate every fan will have, and it's worth thinking through. If the front office sees a chance to add a key piece to help the defense, it could change the trajectory of the season. On the other hand, holding on to young talent and accumulating future picks could be just as valuable if the team is truly in rebuild mode. Beyond trades, the young players we've been talking about, the ones who are wet behind the ears, now get their chance to show growth on the field. Every snap is a learning opportunity, and some of these rookies are starting to click. Overshawn, coming back from a knee injury, is another example of potential impact if he can stay healthy and perform. Seeing these players develop is crucial because this team is building for more than just one season. A 9, 10, or 11-win season isn't failure. It's a sign that the rebuild is on track while keeping the competitive spirit alive. It's also important to stay grounded and remember what we discussed earlier. Comparing ourselves to teams like the Commanders shows that even highly hyped rosters can crumble. The Cowboys may be young, inexperienced in spots, and missing some defensive stars, but the narrative isn't doom and gloom. It's a story of growth, patience, and smart decisions. Knowing this allows fans to keep supporting the team without burning out over each loss. Here's a quick fan poll for you. Should the Cowboys buy at the trade deadline or focus on developing young players and sell for picks? Type buy or sell in the comments. I want to see where the real fans stand. While you're doing that, remember to hit like if you enjoy this kind of in-depth, realistic coverage, and subscribe to help us hit that 16,000 subscriber goal. We'll be covering trade rumors, player progress, and roster moves live, so you can stay ahead of the conversation. The takeaway? There's hope here. This team is rebuilding, yes, but it's competitive at the same time. Finishing above $500 is achievable. Young players are developing, and the coaching staff is laying the foundation for the future. Being a Cowboys fan means celebrating those small wins, recognizing progress, and understanding that patience now pays dividends later. Keep the faith, stay engaged, and watch as this young roster grows into the team we all want to see in contention.